So, welcome everyone to another episode of Leadership from the Heart. Today, I have with us André Gonsalves, a marketing strategist and media buyer with over 15 years of experience helping expert and e commerce brands scale. Andre specializes in crafting high converting funnels and ad campaigns, combining direct response marketing with viral content strategies. Contrarian, usually. His data driven approach to media buying has helped businesses achieve massive growth. I've been a witness to this. So let's dive into the world of digital marketing and discover how to create campaigns that truly convert. Andre, what's up?
Hey, how's it going, Romie?
It's going. We had some technical difficulties, but I think we figured it out. We were
Yes,
determined.
yes, that's the main key ingredient in life is that determination. And for the record, guys, I had a really good camera set up. It looked really good,
It
but for
did.
some reason, it looked too good that the tech gods did not want me at that angle with that beautiful digitalness. So they got me on my phone now, but we still gonna have an amazing conversation, and you guys are gonna learn a lot from this conversation, I swear. And your business is gonna grow, your life's gonna grow. You might have a baby by the end of this conversation, I think.
We've already moved to having a baby now. I love
That's
this. I
right.
love
That's
this
right.
conversation. Well, let's
That's
make
right.
some magic, Dre. What is like your, how do you want to start off introducing yourself? Because usually this is a leadership podcast, and I know that you lead your own company. But I feel like this call is going to be kind of a switch of gears for us. And we're going to talk a little bit about businesses and how businesses can thrive and what's your forte and all the things.
Well, okay, this is a leadership podcast. That's a great place to start because everything really starts from you being a leader. And I work with a lot of business owners, and I'm just like flabbergasted at their leadership skills in the sense that they think that their employees are their slaves.
Yes.
And I'm just like, no, like, and they have this very adversarial relationship with their employees. And some of the things they say to them, like, I get to see some of the emails they send each other. I get to see some of the texts they send each other. And I'm just like, I'm just dying inside, because that's not my department is not leadership. My department is helping you grow your company with marketing.
Right.
But what I've seen is the mindset piece, the spiritual component is the real differentiator with all these companies. Because if you're in any industry, you'll have someone that's making the most amount of money, and they're usually doing it the right way, and they're really leading their team, especially in this era where there's so much opportunity and so much abundance for your team to go anywhere, right? If you want to have good players on your team, good employees, A players, as people call them. I don't know how I feel about that term, but if you want to have good people on your team, you can't treat them like crap. Like, it literally comes down to that. And I think the main thing for leaders now is changing their perspective on leadership in the sense of, and you're the expert on leadership, so you could
Mhm.
correct me if I'm wrong on this, but this is just my humble perspective on leadership. And it's that as the leader and the one getting the most amount of money from your business, right? Your employees are not getting the equity or whatever from your business, right? The main thing is you serve your employees. Like, you're literally your employee's slave. That's how I would say it.
No, 1000%, right? Like, I love Gary Vee because like he says it how it is, and he's like, if you expect any employee to work harder in your business than you are, then you've got it fucked up. Like you're thinking backwards because if
Mm-hmm.
you make the most money, you should be working the hardest. And
Mm-hmm.
in fact, Dre, you're absolutely right. Your employees are not your servants. In fact, you're their servant. You need to produce or you need to give them what they need to be, you know, successful and to perform. And let's talk about this A players or thoroughbreds as we know them, right? From past experience. So let's talk about A players and what are your thoughts around that, coin phrase or whatever.
I don't think an A player would work for anyone. That's
Mm,
the first thing. So all you guys who have A players, they're actually all B players because they don't have the intestinal fortitude to go out on their own and do it by themselves, right? And there's nothing wrong with that.
of
There's
course
nothing
not.
wrong with working for someone else. Like 99% of people do that. There's nothing wrong with that. That's actually amazing. You don't have the stress that comes along with running your own business, right?
Right.
And I don't want to glorify running your own business either, right? I did that as in my 20s. Like I've been running businesses for a long time, since my 20s. So I was that 20-year-old who was like, I'm never working for someone else. I can't work for someone else. It's the worst thing ever, right?
Right.
And that obviously that comes from a place of ego as well, right? And so I don't even know what we're talking about
Just A
anymore.
players, and you thinking that A players are actually B players because they don't have the fortitude to run their
Yeah,
own
yeah,
business.
and then that also that distinction of A players and B players and C players, I think that's just like a talking point that business coaches bring up to kind of like just to have that talking point on social media,
Mm-hmm.
just to get views and stuff like that, right? Because there's different people for different parts of the company, right? Do you want an A player in your mailroom? Like, what do you expect this person to do? Like, it's kind of your expectations are kind of out of line. Like,
I don't disagree with you at all. One of my guys say everybody needs to be on the right seat of the bus, and I think that that's perfect, right? And my mentor years ago told me you need your C players, right? And I don't consider them C players. I just consider them the people that are going to come in and do what they got to do and go home. That's all they want to do. And you need
yeah,
those people, because if everyone's trying to be number one, as a leader, it's very hard to satisfy that, right? Because that means they want
yeah,
growth, they want progress. Like you need to constantly feed them in order for them to stay. And that's impossible.
yeah,
So like while people think they all want A players, only A players, it's bullshit. You don't.
yeah,
You need everyone to be on the right side of the bus. You need the majority of people that want to just come in, do the job and go home, right?
yes,
And reality is you want that. So I agree with you. I think it's a very interesting perspective to say that A players would have their own businesses, because I I can see that. I can see that being a thing.
yeah. And I see a lot of job listings that'll say like, we only hire A players. We're looking for A players. We want people who are going to devote to their 24 hours a day to this. And then you see the how much they're paying, and you're like, what?
How much of my life do you want me to give for that?
Is this indentured servitude? What is going on here? Right? Like you look stupid when you post that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you look dumb. You actually look really dumb as a company when you post that. That
Yeah.
actually shows you're not thoughtful in your marketing either.
Yeah.
That shows you're not thoughtful in your business practices either. That shows you're not thoughtful in your leadership either, because you're letting copy like that on a job listing site,
Yeah. So what should
right?
it say?
Well, if you're looking for A players, like you're not going to be posting on job listing sites for A players. Like you have to actually go and scout them,
Headhunt.
right? Like the NBA doesn't have listings to come play in the NBA. Like they actually have scouts that go out and look for NBA talent when they're like 14 years old, right? They'll fly to Serbia and look and scout and actually try to find these diamonds in the rough, right? So it's that is like the hardest part of growing your business is finding the right people, and that's all based on scouting, right? So you got to keep your eye on certain people in your industry or even in adjacent industries and be like, oh my God, this guy's amazing. Like, haven't you ever been to a store? Like sometimes I'll go to a store and I'll get the best service ever. And I'll be like, how is this person working here? I think I
Yeah.
might hire this person. Like, what is going on here? Like, this is absolutely unfair.
Yeah.
And like, I'm like, okay, what's your name? What's your number? Right?
Yeah.
If I'm not gonna hire you, I could recommend you to someone to hire you. Like, you know what I mean? So I think that is like that's the way you acquire great talent. That's how you get A players is by scouting them.
Yeah. Wow, that's really good. I think all of us have been somewhere where, we're either at a restaurant and we have the best server ever and we're like, why are you here? Like you could do anything. So yeah, that's good. That's really good. Okay. So let's talk about what you do for companies.
Man, what do I do? I say I do their marketing, and then that's like a deliverable. That's like the running their ads or making their content or helping them with their sales pitches. But really, it's more of a mindset change that they have to go through. I find with a lot of them, right? And it depends on where they're at, right? It's like very tailored to them. It's really. I was thinking about it today. I was on a walk today, and I was like, "What really is marketing? It really is amplifying. Like, what do? I amplify what's already there, but they're not exposing that to the world or articulating it in the right way.
Yeah, marketing for me is like an art. I feel like you guys are like artists. Like you can see the offer and you can compose the copy to speak to exactly who needs to see it. And that's very special. A lot of us operators don't have it, you know? So, and, you know, for me, let's talk about the mindset shift that you help companies make in that, right? Because I have an offer. I
Mm-hmm.
just want to put it out there. I
Mm-hmm.
think that if people saw the offer, why wouldn't they want to buy?
Okay. So let's help you. Let's make this a consulting call because this
I
I
mean,
think
that's
will help a
cool
lot of people.
for
This
sure.
is how you could get me for free on your consulting for consulting. You just invite me on your podcast, guys. And so basically, what is your offer, Romy?
So I have an offer for people who feel like they're overworked, overwhelmed, underappreciated, people leaders only. And I find that they often seem to be searching. So the pain point is they seem to be searching to get out of the mess that they're in, quote unquote, and no offers are coming in. They keep getting rejected from all the applications they're submitting. And my belief is that because they're getting, it's not rejection, it's just redirection, and that there's more work to be done where they're at. And so I want to help them shift their perspective and focus on what the lesson is to learn right now.
Okay, I don't know what any of that means.
Okay.
Uh, what? Okay, so who is there a particular job that this person is applying for?
So usually the folks that I work with, they're usually either managers applying for, you know, a director role or
Mm-hmm.
even supervisors applying for a manager role, and they can't seem to make that conversion. And it's because there's a gap in either skill set in like interviewing or just again more work to be done where they're at. And that more work just means that they have to care about what matters, right? So they're in pain. They want to get out. They want to make more money. All the things they keep trying, but it's not happening for them. And so, like, what I've been through when I was in that situation years ago was I was focusing too much on the people that didn't matter and not enough on the people that actually matter, right? So, like my frontline employees matter way more than my bosses do. And if I can refocus and like put in the work that needed to be done where I was and make my department better than I
Mm-hmm.
found it,
Mm-hmm.
then the opportunities started to come at me as
Mm-hmm.
if like a
Mm-hmm.
waterfall. And so
Okay.
that's what I help people do is shift their perspective. Like, what is the lesson in front of you that you're trying to avoid that we can just turn around, look at, fix so that we can start attracting instead of running away from something? Because that energy
Mm-hmm.
of running from something is not the same energy as things coming towards you.
Okay. So this is very beautiful. What you're telling people to do really is become the thing they want in order to
Yes,
get the thing they want. And
correct.
they may find they don't even want that thing once they become the thing in the
Thousand
first
percent.
place. And the things will start attracting into their life when they become. Okay. So this
100%.
is a very spiritual practice. So you basically have a spiritual, very spiritual component in your leadership program.
Yes.
Okay. That's very important. Now, what are you telling people you can give them? Like, what is the thing from their perspective that they want?
What I can give them or what they can give themselves, right? I'm just helping guide them is
Mm-hmm.
fulfillment, right? Fulfillment with where they currently are instead of this frustration. So we're going to like alchemize that frustration into like action,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to in fact grow in whatever. It could be strategy, it could be emotional intelligence, it could be all these characteristics of leadership that we're trying to avoid because it's too painful, and we're going to look at
Mm.
it and we're going to be that, and
Mm.
we're going to do it together.
But from their perspective, they want another, like they want to move up the leadership chain.
They want to move. Yes,
Like
yes.
they want to be in the C-suite or something. Is that what you would say?
They want to be higher than they are. I'd say C-suite, but like reality is it could be, you know, mid-level to senior leadership. Yeah.
Okay. So that then is your desired result
Yes.
because that is based off status. So one of the things that people want is
Mm.
status.
Okay.
And so that is what you're essentially selling them on the front of your marketing. You're selling them status.
Understood.
So change all your marketing now to status, right? If you do this, you will become a C-suite executive, right?
Yeah.
And so this is what we call sell them what they want, but give them
Give
what
them
they
what they
need.
need.
Yes.
Wow, that was very fast for you to do that. Yeah. So
Get
tell
paid by
me,
the hour.
yeah, but tell me, why do we get so caught up? Like, why? Obviously, you're the expert, and I know that. And so all of us are experts in different things, but how do you get people to start to think like that faster?
It comes from ability to, I guess it'd be to break up your brain awareness, your levels
Mm,
of awareness, and really have what's called empathy for other people, right? A lot of people claim to have empathy, but what really they have is sympathy for themselves, right? And so empathy is actually being able to see the potential in someone and remember where you were when you were at their level. And a lot of experts forget when they were dumb,
yeah.
right? A lot of rich people forget when they were poor,
Yeah.
right? A lot of married people forget when they were single, right? And they're like, oh, it's so easy to get rich. Oh, it's so easy to find a mate. It's so easy to be healthy, right? Like a lot of healthy people forget what it's like to be fat and out of shape and have cravings, right? And so that empathy is really the driving force. So you have to remember, like, what's their awareness level?
Yeah.
And then you speak to that awareness level, right? Because it's incredibly disrespectful when you speak to your awareness level to someone else.
For sure.
And
It's
this is how
ineffective.
99% of the world is operating right now.
Very ineffective.
Because they simply have a system that can't hear you when you speak. Like you're speaking like liberal talking points or right wing talking points,
Right.
and they're just like, no, I can't even hear, I can't even deal with that.
Right. That shifts from just, I mean, that's in everything, right? Because I can see that in some of the people, I follow that's like, just get after it. And you're like, I don't fucking know how. Like, I don't know how to get after it.
Well, that's their mark. So this is a warning for everyone following people on social media. Remember, they're speaking to people at a certain awareness level,
Mm,
especially if they're successful. So to the hard charging sales person, the message they want to hear is go after it. Call 900 people a day, email 900 people a day. They need to hear that message because that's the message that's going to resonate with them, right? The message that's not going to resonate with them is learn how to make high quality content that takes literally hours a day to make that are going to attract people into your world. Like, look at Christopher Nolan, okay? Everyone knows who Christopher Nolan is. He's an amazing director. He makes movies like Inception, all the Dark Knight movies, that movie with the dream sequence. What is that? Oh, the Inception, Interstellar, right? He spends like years making these movies, right? To attract people into his world.
yeah.
Years and so much money, like hundreds of millions of dollars, getting to be in an attraction device, creating this attraction vehicle, right? And people can't take 2 seconds to write a thoughtful email, right? People can't take 2 minutes to write a thoughtful DM, right? It really goes back to mating. All of this stuff goes back to mating, right? Because you go in the we've been in the clubs and we've seen guys approach multiple people, and that could work. Approach 100 people, you might get one or two numbers from that, but you had to approach 100 people and use up all that energy. And so this comes back to the masculine and feminine energies of the world,
Yeah.
right? Where you don't have to approach so many people. You could be a sniper and approach that one person. But you say the right things and you look the right way and you are the right person, you're going to get that person, right? And so that comes back to what we're talking about with your question about empathy. And that comes back to empathy.
Yeah, dude, that's wild, right? So, in turn, what you're saying is, you could put out 100 posts a day and you could reach out to 100 people a day, or you could reach out to like 10 and actually have intention with those 10. And when you're saying, hey, I was scrolling through your page, it's because you actually were freaking scrolling through their page and thought that they would be a good
Mm-hmm.
fit. You know what I mean? Like that for me feels way more aligned than reach out to 50 people a day. Reaching out, I feel so disconnected when I have to like make a copy or like send a cold DM out, and it's just boom, 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 boom. You know, it doesn't land with me. And I feel like there's two things. I feel like it's fear, of course, but it's also very inauthentic. And I'm obviously wanting to be very authentic if I'm going to sell you on my business, you know? So you're saying some people need to hear you got to get after it, 100 people, blah, blah, blah. But for people who that doesn't resonate with, you recommend actual, thoughtful, you know, intentional messaging, reaching out, cold
Mm-hmm.
calling, etc.
Yes, but now that you bring up the fear aspect, another component is to address that fear
For sure.
as well, because that fear will always be there, and that will be the ceiling, not only on your business, but on your relationships, on your health, and your just spiritual nature.
Right. Yeah. And
So
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, no, and so that fear is something that's blocking you as well, because there is nothing wrong with sending 50 cold DMs, 1,000 cold DMs, 10,000 emails a day. There's nothing wrong with that, and having the exact same message in all of them, right? You have to hit certain scale in certain industries. Like I know people who send 10,000 emails a day. Do you know what I mean? And there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that, and it's all automated.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I follow this guy called, his name is Danny. He's a sales guy, like one of those, you know,
Oh
sales
yeah, yeah,
coaches.
yeah. I
Love
love them.
him. I love him. And I'm in his school thing, and he's, you know, he was coaching on the message. And he's like, the problem with sending, and it resonated so much with me. He's like, the problem with sending 50 messages is you don't believe the words that you're fucking sending. He's like, and if
Mm,
you don't believe the words that you're sending, the moment someone asks you a question or rejects you, you're going to take it personal. And I was just like,
mm-hmm.
that's where I am, right? I'm just, you know, someone says, use this script, it works, blah, blah, blah. And I just copy paste and I don't even believe.
Yes. So what's happening is you're still in the beginner stages. So that imposter syndrome is
Yeah,
real,
right.
and you should accept it. And you need a script to kind of figure out what to say. But like I'm at the level where I get clients from like just writing gibberish in the DMs.
Well,
I'm
yeah,
just like,
you're
yo, bro,
right.
what's happening? Like, what is going on? Like, I do not follow any script at all, but I've mastered all the scripts,
Yeah.
right? And so that comes from experience. So when you have experience, then you get confidence, right? Because
Mm.
the thing is, it would be weird if you had no experience and you had all the confidence, right?
I know
Then you
some of
just
those
be,
people.
you know, some of those people. You're like, you don't know what you're talking about, but you have a lot of confidence. I like that. And I used to be one of those people.
Yeah.
Like I actually got like when I was in my 20s, I got a record deal. I was a rapper. So I had a lot of confidence as a human
Yeah.
being. And I wasn't a good rapper at all. I was like I was not a good rapper at all. And I got a record deal just simply from confidence.
Right.
Right. And and then after I got that, I was like, oh, I need to actually be good at this thing. So then I devoted my life to get good at that thing. But you see, there's a separation. There's the mindset aspect, the spiritual aspect, and then there's like actually getting good at the skill
Mm-hmm.
that's required to deliver on the thing that you're promising. And those are two different things.
Right.
And you'll see people that work for someone else, they're really good at the skill, but they don't have this part, the mindset part. And this is what's causing a ceiling on their life. This is what's causing a ceiling on their leadership. This is what's causing a ceiling on everything.
Yeah.
Just this thing over here that's in my
Yeah.
hands here,
Well,
floating around.
that's the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest thing. That's what controls, like you said, that's the ceiling. Those are the barriers. Those are everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's that nothingness that you can allow to
Mm-hmm.
run your life, you know?
And and to take it back to what Danny said, that that sales coach, he had it partly right because he said you don't believe in the words that you're telling people, right? But it's really you don't believe in yourself, and you
Mm.
believe that these words define you,
Hmm.
right? Because I could send out 1,000 mass cold emails, cold DMs, 1,000 flyers. Even an ad is technically a cold advertisement because it's going out to strangers. So would you have a problem with that? Probably not,
Right.
because you're not the one that's like putting the ad manually in front of everyone, right? And so you're linking your identity to what
To
you're
the
telling
ad,
people,
for sure.
to your ad, to your content. And
Yeah.
once that identity is broken and realize you're not your content,
Yeah.
you're not your emails, you're not your ads, right? You're you, and you're already enough.
Mm-hmm.
You're actually more than enough, Romie, right? We're all more than enough. All of this is all BS. All of this is jokes. Like, all of this is straight up comedy. Like, this is all just for fun. Like, all of this is a video game.
Right. And perhaps we're taking it a little too serious, as if it's life or death.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes
And
it
that
feels like life or death, though.
and that's exactly how the ego is constructed, though.
Right.
Our egos are constructed to make us think that if someone rejects us in the DMs, we died.
Right.
But that's really just our ancient wiring, which makes us feel like a lion's chasing us through the Sahara, right? Because that's how we evolved. We literally all evolved like that,
Yeah.
to feel that fear, right? But now we
Yeah.
have literally nothing in the modern world that can like kill us.
Right.
There's no lions chasing us. Like, our lives are so safe that we make these small things into life
Mm-hmm.
or death situations, right?
So
And so a good way to reframe it
that's what I was going to
is,
ask.
this is a good way to reframe it. Think about how much you make off each sale, and how many times it takes you to get a yes. So
Okay.
say you have to send out 100 messages,
Mm-hmm.
and let's make the math easier. I know I'm Indian, but I should be good at math. But I don't feel like doing too much math. Okay, let's say it takes you 20 DMs to get one sale. Okay,
Right.
completely hypothetical. It might take you guys 200 DMs to get one sale.
Sure.
It probably will. It probably is. Okay, it's probably 200 DMs. Say it takes you 200 DMs to get one sale. Okay, and your sale, let's just say it's 10,000. Right? Take 10,000. You cost $10,000. Take your 10,000 and divide that by 200. Whatever that equals, I don't know what that equals. Let's figure. Let me just run this on the calculator. 10,000 divided by 50. Okay, $50. Okay, so for every no that you get, you just made $50.
Right.
That's how I want you guys to reframe this. Okay, so every time someone says no to you, imagine they gave you $50,
Right.
because you're just moving closer to that one person who's going to say yes,
Yeah. That's different.
right? And this is where you adopt a bit of that masculine go-getter energy that people talk about, right? But really, you're now reframing it to, oh, I'm actually getting something from talking to these people. Because now you're not only going to get better at talking to people about your offer, you're going to see what they object to, right? You're going to see their energy around you, right? Because the energy people have toward you changes based on how much content you put out there,
Right.
right? If you're cold emailing people and they have no idea who you are, and they go and look you up on Instagram or in YouTube and Google, and they find nothing, they're going to tell you to fuck off, right? But if you put content out there, watch how they change around you.
Right.
Watch how they change on sales call. So your content, again, that's why putting out content is such a mindset improvement device, because all the bullshit you have to get over
Mm-hmm.
in terms of putting out content will completely change your mind. That's why I love all the content creators, because I'm like, damn, how'd you guys get so good at this? Like,
Yeah.
being on camera, talking, that's crazy. Like, I was dead afraid to be on camera, like, up until probably 5 years ago. It took me going through a spiritual practice to understand, oh, it's okay to be on camera and speak.
Yeah.
People like to hear me when I speak, right? And so even me, you may think like, oh, he's such a good speaker. Oh, he's so funny on camera. Oh, he does so many videos. Now I have millions of views
Right.
on TikTok.
Right.
Like, there's literally undisputable evidence that people like watching my videos.
Right.
But even for me, someone who's shy, someone who's an introvert, I had to go through that process to go, oh,
Yeah.
you know what? It's okay,
Yeah.
right? Because I was taking it personally. I was taking how I look personally. I was thinking how I sound personally, and I have a very beautiful voice. So I don't know how you guys are.
Yeah, I remember we were talking once and you were saying how you overcame that by making one video a day, like forcing yourself, right? That's the story.
Yes, well, it came before that because I don't want people to think it's like through the brute force, because that's a Hormozy principle.
Yeah,
You can
that's
overcome
one
something by
way.
doing it. You can, but I think what happens is you don't address the root cause of why you're
Mm,
feeling that way.
mm,
And it does come back to being inexperienced and having the imposter syndrome. But for me, I had a lot of experience. I knew so much stuff, but I was just holding it in. I didn't want to be seen. I didn't want people to hear me. And where was that coming from? Right? I had to go through a spiritual learning, a spiritual healing to understand where that's coming from
yeah.
and not take all these things personally. So that's why I say don't take anything personally, like especially your own person.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I went through that as well. I hated making videos and like I'm like, but damn, like you're right. Like so you DM someone, they go to your page and you have nothing. You've got nothing, literally. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
that the amount of trust is going to plummet. But if you can get outside of yourself or just like overcome yourself and start putting out content, then they could
Mm-hmm.
say, I either resonate with this or I don't. And either one is fine, you know, because when we talk it through, we're all fine. You're like, if somebody
Mm-hmm.
says no, I'm okay. Like, you know, but in the action, it's, you know, you feel all the feelings and all the things. And I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think you have to go to the source, you know, if you want to heal it.
Mm-hmm.
If not, it'll always live there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, yeah, that's a lot to unpack for people who don't, you know, smaller business owners who don't necessarily have the funds to put out the Facebook ads and the, you know, it's you. It's you got to get out there. You are the brand.
Yeah, yeah, especially small business owners. I really think any business owner at this point, because the reason is think about your any industry that you're in. The guy or gal who's going to destroy you is literally on TikTok posting TikTok right now, speaking about their brand, speaking, doing whatever, they filming themselves, packaging orders, right? Talking about their come up, talking about their trials and tribulations. Like, who is an audience going to connect with? The guy who's hiding, who nobody knows, or this person who's like actually putting themselves out there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And so what do you recommend for business owners who, I mean, I guess walk me through your process. Like walk me through how you help business owners cuz you know, I want this to be a plug for you as well. So, you know, walk us through your process.
It depends on, so I do so many different things because there's so many different issues within a business. So the first part is just getting traffic to you because you need people to actually see you. And a way that people do this is through ads or on Instagram through IG shoutouts, right?
What
If you're
is
not
that?
familiar.
No, yeah.
So so IG shoutouts, oh my God, it's crazy. So basically what you do is you get these theme pages to post about you and post your content. And so this means you need to have really good content that is speaking to cold traffic, right? And so then those people come back to your page and then they learn more about your offer and they'll DM you. And based on your content, they choose to follow you or not, right? And so there's ads, there's IG shoutouts. Um, is there anything else? Networking,
Yeah.
cold emails, cold DMs, right? But all those will work depending on how much authority you have in the marketplace. And your authority, how do you show your authority? Through your content.
And what kind of content do you recommend? Because, you know, I watch your stories and it's so funny to see you just, like I said, you know, shout out, no filter, to say what you got to say and really not give a rat's ass about what people say. So, but what kind of content? Because there's contrarian, there's informative, there's, you know,
I say do all of it.
do all of it.
So depending on your traffic source, again, it comes down to the levels of awareness of your traffic coming to your page. So what I recommend people do is you create content for different levels of awareness. So the first level of awareness is people who don't know you at all. And so the people who don't know you at all, the type of content you want to make is very broad, viral, engaging, talking about your personal opinion, right? And these at first may not have anything to do with your offer, but they will have everything to do with why people want to work with you, right? So, for example, say I'm vegan, okay? I was vegan for like 5 years of my life, okay? So I kind of know these people. And say there's a vegan marketer, and you're a vegan, let's just say you're a vegan, hypothetically speaking, and you need a marketer. And then you see this other marketer, and he's like talking about eating deer every day, right? He just eats Bambi blood and drinks Bambi blood every day. And then you have this other vegan marketer over here, and he's like talking about eating pineapples and mangoes all day. And you're vegan yourself. Who are you going to go with?
Right. The
And that has
pineapple guy.
nothing to do with who's better at marketing.
Right.
That's all based on the beliefs, which are the deepest level of marketing. And it's probably a little bit too advanced for people watching right now. But if you guys really want to get good at marketing, you market to people's beliefs. And that's the highest level. So you want to have some content like that. So that's speaking to the first level of awareness, people who don't know you at all. The second level of awareness that you want to speak to is people who know you, but they don't know why they want to work with you or what your offer is. And so this is what we would call authority content. We're specifically speaking on your mechanism or the thing that you do. So for me, I'd be talking about like specific things with ads or specific things with content at this stage, right? And that just to show people that you know what you're talking about. Because why would I work with you if you don't know what you're talking about? And even though I may not know what you're talking about, as long as you seem like you know what you're talking about, then that's probably all enough.
Right.
So a lot of people do that type of content, which is good. But you want to make that maybe like 30% of your content. So let's start again. So the first type of content, that viral type of content, you want to make that 60% of your content, speaking to a mass audience. 30% of your content, you want to make the authority content, right? Where you're speaking to the specific issues that you solve and how you solve them. Now, that last 10%, what is that? Now that people know who we are, they like us, they know why we do what we do, they know what we offer, what is our 10% of our last content? It's literally making an offer to our audience in a very clear and concise way. And so if you see people with these posts like, I'm looking for 5 people to help lose 10 pounds in the next 2 days,
Right.
DM me the word fat boy, right? Those are direct offers, and that should be 10% of your content.
That's good. That's very good. Yeah. And that 10% is probably the hardest for people to do.
Yes, I think it's very difficult because articulating your offer in a very concise way, in a way that would fit on an IG story, is very difficult for most people.
I love this. I love this for me personally, but I also love it for like people to get outside of themselves because marketing is just that. Like it's the concept, going to school and you have to like, do the whole marketing course. When you're in school, marketing sounds fucking great. You're like, oh yeah, anybody. And then you get into the real world and you're like, nah, this is different, and you have a bunch of marketers in your DMs wanting to market your business for you, like I do.
Yeah.
And it's very hard for me to pick one, because obviously you've picked a few in the past and it didn't work out the way it was supposed to or what they promised. So now you're just skeptical and you're trying to go
Mm-hmm.
at it alone when in fact you should probably outsource it. So let's talk about like who people should work with besides yourself and like what are the green flags versus the red flags?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say the red flag is anyone in their 20s.
For lack of experience.
I think so because it takes a long, long time to internalize all of these principles and to be able to see the matrix code of a business and see the levels of awareness and see what it needs at the point that it's at right now. Because a lot of times marketers want to sell you on their system, right? And that's what they're taught to do. Let me sell them on this system, and this one system works for all businesses, no matter where they're at or what they sell, right? And so, for example, say you're a fertility coach, right? If you work with one of these aggressive sales organizations and aggressive marketing sales organizations, what are they going to teach you to do? Call your prospects like 20 a day, okay? And harass them. Does that make logical sense to be harassing women who are having trouble getting pregnant
No.
24 times a day? Is that grounded in empathy? Is that grounded in even logic?
Yeah.
Right?
No.
So that system would probably not work with you and what you're doing and with your audience.
Yeah.
And so what I recommend people do is find people who are going to work with them to build a system that works for them.
So anyone who's trying to put you on their system may be a red flag. Maybe. If it doesn't work with your style of business.
What I recommend is see what your competitors are doing, like what system your competitors are doing, and then find a marketer that uses that similar system that they're doing, and then helps you copy their system essentially.
Oh, that's dope. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, because all these people are sliding into your, I help coaches, I help consultants, like for me, and I'm just like, yeah, but like, are we actually aligned in the way you're going to probably do it? Because you're essentially going to use my brand to put me out there, right? And so,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so that's a green and a red flag. What kind of metrics should we be asking for? Like, conversion rates, or like what questions should a person ask for to know if this other person knows what they're talking about?
That's a good question. What I would do is look at their content
Okay.
and see what they're saying in their content and see what the feel of their content is. The thing is, with marketers, we're really good at making content that makes you feel certain things.
Well,
And so see how you feel when you consume their content. Do you feel lack when you consume their content? Do you feel insecurity when you consume their content? Because most marketers sell based off selling to the pain and making people feel insecure. And that is easy to make a sale when someone's in pain,
yeah,
right? And so that could be a part of your marketing, and that could be a part of anyone's marketing. I'm not knocking that. But if that's all of their marketing, I think that's a huge red flag.
for sure. Well, because you have buyer's remorse, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm in pain right now that we're talking, and you've got me in this, what people would consider like a trance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I give you my money, and then once I'm out of the trance, I'm like, what the hell was that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you want people to be excited. I want them to feel fulfilled and whole, and desired marketing is my what I'm going for is desired marketing. I want
Mm-hmm.
you to want to work together, not because you're in pain. Well, because
Mm-hmm.
you're in pain and I can help you solve that pain, but I don't want to like target that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's good. That's really good. That's really good. What are some of your final thoughts?
Damn. I feel like I dropped so much knowledge on this.
You did.
I
This
get
was
it.
fire.
I think marketing is tough because it's all about getting out of your own head. And if you're running your own business, it's really hard to get out of your own head because it's almost like you're juggling so many different plates. Your mindset has to be in so many different places. And now you got to learn this. Like, I think for most people, they want to outsource it, but they need to learn it
Yeah.
themselves because it is a component of sales, right? It's just like avoiding learning sales skills. Why did you smile?
Yeah,
Is that
because
something you do?
it's usually the same thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, for operators, sales and marketing, that's the same bubble that, we,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. It is the same bubble and it's the same personal growth that you go through.
Mm-hmm.
So anyone who's been in sales and marketing for a long time, you'll notice that they start to become very spiritual because we start to see the matrix code and everything. And we start to see all the stories that people tell themselves because we are actually responsible for a lot of the stories people tell themselves.
Yeah.
And we see how all these stories are just stories, right?
Yeah.
De Beers, the diamond company, that whole thing about engagement rings was a complete story.
Complete. Made up, dude.
Complete story. Breakfast is a complete story,
Yep.
right? Made up by like Kellogg's
Yep.
and Big Cereal, right? So a lot of these things are just stories. And if they're just stories, then why don't we just tell ourselves a better story? Something that serves us.
100%. Most recently, I heard somebody talking about the story of 8 glasses of water a day. And I was like, nah. I was just like, can everything is a fucking story? Like everything is just made up. And like, I had to like look at it because I'm like, I gotta, even if it's not true, it doesn't matter. Like, I think that that's the part that we get hooked on is the truth behind it. But the
Mm-hmm.
reality is, if we can just get ourselves to question it, then we'll be on a better side. Like this could be true. We probably don't need 8 glasses of water a day. It's
Mm-hmm. And
just another story.
this is very deep. This is very spiritual because a lot of people who are stuck and even poor, as people would describe them, they see the world in very binary terms,
Yeah.
which means they see the world in black and white. They see the world in very like good or bad,
Yeah.
right? Tall or short, fat or skinny, right? Hot or cold. And really, the world is in degrees and nuance. And so, really successful people, the richest people, see the world in very nuanced terms,
Hmm.
right? And the most happiest people, I would say, see the world in more nuanced terms where there's degrees, there's a spectrum.
Yeah, I'd say for sure the happiest people, they don't cling on to anything, right? It's detachment. And so you said the
Mm-hmm.
richest people see it like that. Give me an example.
The richest people seeing it like that,
Yeah.
so there is a Chinese proverb where you might have heard this before, where the guy says something like he had a daughter, right? And everyone's like, "Oh, that daughter's going to bring so much bad luck to the community." And he's like, "Maybe, we'll see." And then he had a son and they're like, "Oh, your son's going to bring so much luck to the community." And he's like, "Maybe, we'll see." Everything the community tells him, he's just like, "Maybe, we'll see." And so he's living in the gray area, in the nuanced area of maybe we'll see. And this is where it comes back to everything is just a suggestion. And so I want my final word to everyone is everything is just a suggestion. And so I really want you guys to take that deep into your heart and to your soul. How would you live if everything is just a suggestion? Right? How would you live if what we see is just a suggestion? Right? Because there is some evidence now that even what we're seeing is actually not really here. It's actually a construct of our mind. There's a lot of evidence around that. Right? Our mind is just actually piecing together everything, our reality. So our reality is just a suggestion that our mind gives us.
That's deep. That's deep, but it's necessary. Yeah. 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 Then we would be able to question religion without guilt. Then we would be able to question anything without guilt, right? That's so dope. A suggestion. I love it, Dre. Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you.
having me.
Where can people find you online?
You can find me on my TikTok. It's Dragey Official. I say some crazy shit on there. On my Instagram, Dragey Official as well. Hit me up on there. Check me out.
Yeah. We'll have all the links in the show notes. You have a website. What's your business called?
A Maven Face. So you can go to
And
mavenface.co if you want to work with me.
Maven Face. What made you pick that name?
I kind of forget the origin story, but it probably comes from a Malcolm Gladwell book I was reading in 2010,
Okay.
where he spoke about mavens.
Mm-hmm.
And mavens are these people who tell others about a certain product or service. They're kind of like the gossip people for certain brands. They're kind of like they help amplify certain brands. So you may be one of those people, I don't know, or you may have a friend who's always like putting you onto new stuff.
Yeah.
They're putting you onto new music, new clothes, new trends, whatever. And so I was always one of those type of people. So
Yeah.
that's why it kind of came about.
That's pretty dope. That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
Cool. That's pretty dope. All right. So that concludes this episode of Leadership from the Heart, guys. I know it was a little different from the usual, but I think it was packed with gold. please check out Andre. Obviously, he knows what he's talking about and he's not afraid to go deep. And I think that's super important. So remember, check him out, like, subscribe, share this episode if you found it useful. And we'll catch you next time on another episode of Leadership from the Heart. Thank you.